Hi everybody, it's Rolex here with an unusual guide video. This is going to be how I league start and also how I play my champion Spectral Helix character. You can adapt it to any other source of skill. If you play Impale base, you can use different skills such as the Cyclone, maybe Edge Shatter, maybe Blade Storm, like any sorts of other skills will work as well. But this video is going to be for Spectral Helix because you're playing Impale Champion. It's pretty much exact same. But this video is for someone who is not familiar with how to leveling as champion. This is not a guide for a completely new player, but I will try to make it as easy to understand as possible. If you're already an expert, you can skip this video or comment down your thoughts on this video would be appreciated. The goal of this video is to make a guide that you can play through Act 1 to Act 10 easily and not taking too much effort. You can obviously go faster or slower than I did in the video, depending on how you prefer to play it. Why I pick champion? It's an easy question to answer. Impale is such a strong mechanic that allows you to deal more physical damage in consecutive hits, and it can stack up to 5 times. Champion on the first 2 points gives you Master of Metal, not only giving you up to 36 to 72 added physical damage based on the amount of Impale stack on enemy, but also grants you 1000 armor. If you impale enemy recently, you would never seen this much armor during Act 3 to 4 beside Wall of Brambles, which is probably going to be removed in the next league. Master of Metal alone, it's more than enough reason for me to play champion. It will carry your damage and defense throughout acts and fall up later, but you'll probably get fortitude at that point. And also the last 2 ascendancy points are very flexible, depending on what you want to do with the character. You can take inspirational for more aura effects. If you want to run multiple auras, Conqueror it's not a bad choice, but usually not the important one. I usually gravitate toward First to Strike, Last to Fall. This is such an amazing node, especially early on into the league, giving you free Intimidate on hit and auto flash that heal you 25% HP when you reach low life. That should be enough reason why I pick champion as one of my favorite ascendancy and my league starter. If you want something that is easy to play and tanky, this guide is for you. Disclaimer that this is not the best way to leveling, nor the only way to leveling, but it's just my preferred one. Starting from level 1, you bonk that zombie with default attack and grab double strike. Pick up chance to bleed and beat the shit out of Hillock. And then you grab everything, walking toward Lion Eyes Watch. After you are in the town, you only look for Corroded Blade and Stone Axe, which I happen to drop from Hillock and get the color I needed. You can go with 1 red and 1 green, or 2 green for Onslaught. Better if you have 1 red and 2 green if you can get 1. Make sure that you don't have it on your weapon because you will change your weapon a lot. And getting on your gear will be really amazing. Getting 2 green and 1 red is probably not that hard. If you get lucky, you can try looking for some boots that have movement speed as well. I don't really care about that much, so but if you want to just run fast, then you can obviously getting boots for movement speed as well. In this scenario, I was just greedy and go with Iron Ring Start, which is called 3 Scroll Wisdom. You should not do this because you will need Scroll Wisdom to buy gems still. Now you go to Mudflat and sacrifice your soul to Roa God for an extra fortune. If you're playing hardcore and die here, just make a new character, don't worry about it. Go into Submerged Passage and grab a waypoint, then back to town, talk to Talkledge and take War Banner and dash for a reward. And if you have a Scroll Wisdom left, you can go buy Ancestral Protector from Nessa. This will make your single targets much better. Then I usually go to Tidal Island to finish the medicine quest for Quicksilver Flask and Onslaught support, even if you don't have the socket for it yet. Make sure you check the vendor for 1 red 2 green gear every single time when you're in town. I forgot to do that most of the time, but getting on slot on your link, it's going to feel much better when you're playing the character early on. Alternative is 2 red and 1 green just for more damage support, just add chance to bleed or maim, but you can support maim to your ancestral protector anyway, so it's not a great alternative, but it will do. Using body armor will reduce your movement speed, but if you're not racing for rank 1, it doesn't really matter, it's not that slow. I usually drop portal at the bridge in Submerged Passage, so I can come back and doing the Daddy Crab quest later. But if you don't have the portal scroll, you can just do the crab quest right away, or ignore them until you have better movement skill. Go to lower prison, take the waypoint back to town, use your portal to get back to the Submerged Passage, and then down the flooded depths. Kill the Dweller of the Deep, then back to town, talking to Taklich for skill point and Nessa, and take main support. If you have another transmute orb, you can buy life tap and start leveling them, but it's not that big of a deal because you won't be using life tap until you have 5 link on your gear, and you need transmute for Spectral Helix. Don't forget that. So you have to keep 1 transmute orb in your stats, in your inventory, and don't forget to check your vendor. You would want Jet Chopper for damage upgrade too at this point. Now back to lower prison and do the trial. This is optional. If you don't feel like doing it right now, you can skip it until you have a better movement skill. But leave slam wouldn't be that great, so I would recommend just do it right away. But you can skip it. Go to upper prison and beat another big shirtlet dude. And back to town for Leap Slam and Vitality. If you don't have Transmute, just get Vitality for the reward. It will make you tankier, and you can still use Dash for movement skill. It's not that bad. And make sure you have at least 1 Transmute orb left, because we're getting close to our Spectral Helix. Walk straight to the Cavern of Wrath. You don't care about the Ship Graveyard, but you take one. You probably want to take a waypoint still. But yeah, walk straight to the Cavern of Wrath, and then walk back to take the All Fame in the Ship Graveyard Cave. Now you can go back to town and talk to Nessa. She won't give you Spectral Helix as a reward though, so you have to buy it from her. This is when, you spend 1 of your Orb of Transmute. If you don't have it, you might need to farm some, some gear, some random like magic or rare gear, and then render them to NPC to get this, because this is gonna be how you level your character, and you can start using it right away if you're already 12, and then back to kill frag grapes, take skill point reward, and now it's time to go for Merveil. At this point, you can vendor your iron ring with a blue gem for sapphire ring. I forgot to do that, so I didn't bother to do it. And well, we killed Merveil. It's time to move to Act 2. Before we get into Act 2, don't forget to pick up rare gear that is probably going to upgrade your character, and don't forget to look for links on the ground that you drop after killing monsters as well. You would need 1 red, 2 green, or 3 green is all usable with the Vicious Projectile later as well. So you can look for 1 red, 2 green, or 3 green. In Act 2, you'll be struggle with the intelligence and dexterity soon. Make sure you have the Goid's Amulet by buying from Yina, or vendor Lapis Amulet, Jet Amulet, and 1 Orb of Transmute together for it, because you will need it for Hero of Ash and Blood Rage. This act is a maze for quests, so you can do anything first. I usually go for Fidelitas, so I can get Blood Rage for speed and Hero of Ash for more damage really early on, and you're probably getting around level 16 when you finish the finish killing Fidelitas. You don't need to level Hero of Ash, so do not do that, because it will require more intelligence. It will make your character staff even more in terms of stat. And do not leveling the Blood Rage yet until you make sure that you can sustain enough dexterity throughout your gear and your passive tree, because you won't have enough dexterity until later on when you have a proper jewelry. Don't forget to complete all the trial in this act. There's 1 in Chamber of Sins level 2 and 1 in the Creep level 1. Then a Hell Area for 15% elemental resistance. You can kill all bandit if you want to. If you don't want to use 20 regret later. Or if you're confident about your resistance, you can kill all, getting 2 extra points. That's pretty good as well. But I usually just getting 15% ornamental resistance. That's just come in handy because I don't really want to fix much of my resistance. I rather go for something like armor and life, early on. Finish the way forward for skill point and kill Weaver. Take reward in time for vicious projectile and cruelty. If you have 1 red or 2 green, use Spectral Helix linked with vicious projectile, cruelty, and you will swap out cruelty for onslaught if you have 3 green socket link. Now your character setup should be like this: aura or buff, war banner, hero of edge, and vitality. And you would use blood rage whenever it's ran out because you probably can sustain your regen pretty easy, and you can use your life flask as well. And the next one is ancestral protector. You can link it with maim as well because this is going to increase your single target damage a lot. If you cannot link them, that's fine. You can just use it purely just for attack speed boost. And your Spectral Helix linked with vicious projectile and cruelty, or vicious projectile and onslaught. Your weapon should be poleaxe at this point for the attack speed base. It has I think it has the highest attack speed base at about level 18. With around like 60 total DPS, that would be fine. You can vendor your weapon with magic or rare erotic stash and 1 blacksmith whetstone for this total DPS, which is about getting about 50% increased physical damage to your weapon. That's a pretty easy one to vendor. But if you don't have blacksmith whetstone, you can just use it like white. That's okay too. It's probably gonna be less damage, but it's fine. Early on you don't really need that much damage anyway. Finish Act 2 and move on to Act 3. I forgot to record early Act 3, but it's not that much to talk about anyway. You talk to Clarissa and go to save Tollman, which we fail miserably, and get to the town, get the Dread Banner. Oh, and don't forget to run trial in the Tollman map as well. I forgot the name, but yeah, don't forget to run trial in that map too. At that point, you can buy Determination and start leveling them as well. We're still not using any of Dread Banner or Determination, we're just leveling them. Go to Silver and finish the Hagen quest for a skill point. Then go to Catacomb for its trial. Take the waypoint in the docks because you might need to farm for level a little bit. And now progressing until you reach a bony barrack. I went for the Imperial Garden for trial and library cred first, then back to kill party. After finish killing party, go back to town and take skill point reward from Grigor. At this point, I'm still not level 31 yet, so I decide to go for Dominant right away. If I was already level 31, I would go for Labyrinth and swap over to Impale setup. But this is fine too, and that's the end of Act 3. Now that I hit level 31 in Aqueduct, I can swap to Impale setup, and now you should have 4 linked with 3 green and 1 red, and your link should be Spectral Helix, Vicious Projectile, Impale, and Cruelty. You can use Life Tap for more convenience on your life flask and mana flask, but it will cost you a lot of life and you're probably not sustaining it right now. Change War Banner to Dread Banner. And now it's time to run Labyrinth for the first 2 ascendancy points. Obviously, we'll take Master of Metal. After getting to Act 4, there's not much to talk about it. You only need 2 more extra gems, which is Berserk and Brutality. I forgot to talk about passive tree, but hopefully I can show you step by step on the screen, hopefully. Because you will have Rage from Axe Mastery, so you can sometimes use Berserk to boost your damage and defense when you need it. Finish Act 4, and after that I will only talk briefly about some quest rewards that I personally take to make it feel better to leveling with. At this point, you can drop Vitality and Herald of Ash to run Determination for more armor because you probably have brutality instead of cruelty, so you can no longer deal non-physical damage. In Act 5, there is a quest named The Key to Freedom that will give you utility flask reward. I usually take Jade Flask because you have extra 1000 armor from Master of Metal already. Having a little boost on your evasion will make your character tankier while running through acts. Make sure you have decent amount of elemental resistance before finishing Act 5. Don't scare to take resistances on trees that close to your pathing, such as Cloth and Chain and Diamond Skin. Now after finishing skill point quest and killing Kitava, it's time to move on to Act 6. After getting to Act 6, I usually complete the quest Clear the Twilight Strand to unlock every gems in the game. This is allow you to buy level 1 gem if you need to reset some gem that you don't have stat for it. Usually it's Blood Rage and Dash that's causing the problem. Then progressing through this act, try looking for quest flask for phasing, but you get that as a quest reward in Act 7 anyway, so don't need to be worried about it too much. Make sure you have relatively okay weapon base such as Haste Man or Labreeze. Also, don't forget to run trial in lower prison in this act. Now at Act 7, you only need quartz flask from the quest named the Silver Locket. If you don't have one already, if you already have one, you can skip this quest completely or take a Grand Flask. Running both Trial in the Crypt and Chamber of Sins level 2, then you can finish Labyrinth. Now you can take Unstoppable Hero that probably doing nothing right now, except you put Fortified Support Link with Leap Slam, which I didn't care to do most of the time. You can just skip Cruel Lab until you have Merciless Lab ready, and then do them both at the same time so you get Fortitude right away. I mean, I don't mean the same time, I mean consecutively, because you have to do them both, so you have to run them twice. Finishing Act 7 and proceed to Act 8, 9, and 10, getting your Merciless Lab done, and then go and kill Kitava. Feel free to farm XP and gear in Blood Aqueduct or Discredited Chambers if you need to. Before fighting Kitava, I usually have around 3.5k life if I'm in Standard League, and up around 4.2k life otherwise. And that's how I level every one of my Impaled Champion character. Some paths might change depending on how strong or weak my character is at that point. And here are some setups that you might wonder before getting into map. For Spectral Helix, Vicious Projectile, Impale, and Brutality, you can add Life Tap if you have 5 Link, Dread Banner and Determination, Blood Rage and Berserk, and you can start using Cast when damage taken and Molten Shell and Vulnerability if you feel like to. You'll eventually change to Vow Molten Shell and running Call to Arm for free Enduring Cry because Champion is really bad against damage over time, so getting a surge of life regen help a lot. Hope you guys learned something from my Spectral Helix Champion leveling guide from Act 1 to 10, and you can share your leveling guide or ideas as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe because this type of video is not coming that often. Bye!